Hey everyone, it's Jamie from Independent Street Tarot and Seasons and Ritual, and I'm here with my good friend Helen
Hello.
Crimson Cadaverous. And we're going to talk about this week of 7/31 into 8/6. So we are in Leo season and we're about to go from July to August.
I know, I can't believe that.
I know. I agree. I
Like,
agree with
flew
you.
by.
It really has. And I think honestly, I think we've done a really good job like staying present. At the same time, I do feel like things are flying by or, speeding up or,
Yeah.
yeah. So let's talk about this week, shall we?
Yes.
Okay. Monday, the 31st, the moon will be in Capricorn. And let's just
Yes.
say we were kind of saying like the energy of the week is there's not a lot happening except for the full moon.
Yes.
Okay.
That's probably the major transit that we have going on, but I think there's a lot of things that are going to kind of play out that like feed into that.
Okay. All right. So Monday, the moon will be in Capricorn.
Yes.
All right.
And so we've got the conjunction with Pluto right before the moon moves out of Capricorn late in the day into Aquarius.
Mhm.
And that Pluto is retrograde, doing those big like excavation work, deep things that
Yeah.
need to be pulled out and dealt with. Um, and to see the moon form in conjunction with that is like we're actually feeling those things. We're having to feel our way through those things so that we can kind of move forward.
Hmm. I like that. I think that kind of plays into what you and I were talking about before we got on here about like strikes and, Pluto is excavating how we work, right? In Capricorn and,
Yeah.
intuitively know we can't keep going at the pace not the pace, but what we've been being paid and things like that. So,
A lot of big stuff is coming up, personally and collectively right now. And I think it's like, it's definitely heavy lifting, but I think it's all happening. It's all happening for the best. And I think, especially when Pluto's involved, he always wants what's best for us. So it's like, he challenges us to kind of be better versions of ourselves, see the truth. So there's a lot of things like we talked about, like, a lot of things coming up that I think within the collective that we're just kind of facing and working through.
I agree. What else would you like to say about Monday?
Well, I really think definitely the trine with Uranus is really beautiful because I think it's helping us, whatever we're digging up, whatever we're sorting through, it's helping us see a different way. It's
Hmm.
helping us tap into that higher octave of our mind that's like, okay, yes, this is a little chaotic,
Hmm.
but it's shifting for a reason. We know
Yeah.
what's going on here. We just got to kind of have like trust and faith in the universe at that point.
Yeah. And so also on Monday, the moon in Capricorn will be opposite Juno in Cancer.
Yes.
And I
And
think that's
actually also squaring Chiron, Eris, and the North Node. So that's kind of like a T square going on there with those energies.
okay. Yeah, I forgot
Um,
North Node and Aries. Yep, yep. And Chiron
yeah,
and Eris are still in Aries.
right. So that's all cardinal energy T square. So
Hmm.
it's like challenging us to initiate something. Challenging us to move forward with something. And again, the big stuff's coming up. Moving forward means dealing with it.
Right.
So like,
And I think
like we just got to deal with the stuff that got pulled up.
right. I think it's challenging us to like see it, to like speak about it, to say this is what's here. And even though like you and I were talking about before we got on air, like we don't know what the answer is exactly right now. But the
Right.
more we talk about it and just say, because I do feel like we're at extremes. I do. Just like it's the extreme of summer, and like everything's in bloom, right? And like everything's hot and
Oh my God, it's so
um
hot.
it's so hot. And so I just feel like we're in this extreme. And so then can we go ahead and move into Tuesday? Is that okay?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So then on Tuesday we have this full moon in Aquarius, and Aquarius is fixed air, and the sun is in Leo, which is fixed fire. And
Yes.
off the top, you would think like so like this is like an extreme full moon. It's a super moon.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's balancing. It's balanced. I do feel like this is balanced. I'll let you talk first so I don't go on a super long tangent, but I'll come back in. So
Yeah, I think it's actually really balanced because, I mean, not only obviously when we have an opposition between sun and moon or any planets, there is a balance. I
yeah,
always tell people, like, people think of opposition as a negative thing, but it's like, actually, it's like you're kind of seeing across at something.
it's like
So
a
you have
teeter
like,
totter.
right. And you have the ability to kind of see the big picture because it's like they are across from you, they're
Yeah,
not right there. So you can kind of see the big picture of, opposing viewpoints, so to
yeah,
speak,
yeah.
which I think is really important in this because we're talking about Aquarius. And
Mhm.
Aquarius is the collective, Aquarius is the humanitarian that is like concerned with, self first, as it should be, but also with how is the self serving the collective.
Right.
Um, but I think the most beautiful thing about this is that this full moon is actually more like also another T square
Mhm.
because we've got a square with Jupiter
Mhm.
right after the moon forms the opposition with the sun.
Mhm.
So, Jupiter, anytime we're involving ourselves with Jupiter, even if it's a square, it's always going to be a very jovial, enthusiastic, beautiful energy. And
Yeah.
Jupiter's a very stable Taurus. So, he's like kind of just challenging us to think actually like of the good side of things.
Mhm.
Like even if like things come up during this full moon that might be intense, he's like, okay, so you can either be excited or you can be scared.
Right.
I'm going to tell you to be excited about it, and that's going to be Jupiter just kind of like, egging us on to like tap into more of the excitement energy than the fear
Also,
energy that might come up.
yeah, I like that because too, like, with Aquarius, like you were saying, which is air and is ruled by Uranus, who is in Taurus, right? And that squares
Mhm.
with Jupiter in Taurus. But Aquarius is like it can back out and see the big picture.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. It is the cosmos, right? And
Mhm.
so I really think there might be some jokes being made with Jupiter, like maybe offhand and off color, but like lightening the mood, like, oh, that's a
Yeah.
great idea. So when we all die of carbon monoxide poisoning, blah, 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 right? Which would seem dark and like, oh no, but it's just like, no, we do have to change because things are heating up, right? And so with that sun and Leo, it is like we can be like that intense like movement, right? And Aquarius can say, okay, like we're talking about all these things that are quote unquote problems, but Aquarius will come in and be like, well, okay, but what are the solutions? We've
Right.
find solutions, right? And then Jupiter and Taurus would be making, I think, off some jokes about it.
Yeah.
And
And
they
we
don't
need
have
that.
to be off color, but just jokes, like
Right. We need that levity right now, though, because
we
things
do.
are intense. And again, with this full moon, it's a full super moon. It's gonna be intense. And
It's gonna be highlighting, like, oh, it's gonna be in our face.
right. And I think, the thing about this full moon is it's probably gonna reveal some more stuff to us. That's what full moons do.
Yep,
But we have the power during this full moon to set intentions around those things that are being revealed to us. And
exactly.
say, okay, I got this revealed to me, but now I got to do something with it. And I'm going to choose the higher octave. I'm going to choose, the positive way of dealing with this.
Right. And it's like, do you stay on the road or do you go to a different road? And the idea too, is that even if you want to say, okay, I want to go into, this has got to change. So you set that intention to be shown what you need to do in order to change. The idea is that we don't have to have all the answers right now. We just
No.
know that we want to go a different way, or a different vibe. And in that same day, Mercury's in Virgo.
Yes.
So that's good. And Mars
Or
is in Virgo, trining Jupiter in Taurus.
yes. And I think that Mars trine Jupiter is beautiful. I mean, that's
Mhm.
literally giving us the power to be enthusiastic about what we're doing. Like just giving us the power to like dream big and like believe the positive side of things.
Right.
Like we feel powerful in that. And then Mercury opposite Saturn, I actually think that's a really good opposition for us to have during this full moon because Mercury's in Virgo, like super pragmatic, very stable mind.
Uh-huh.
But Saturn in Pisces is kind of challenging us to maybe
Be
kind of buck this,
practical.
fuck the status quo a little bit, you know,
Okay.
and like that's like maybe
I
stay
just said
stable.
I just said be practical, and you were like, no, fuck the status quo. So
Well, no, I think in a way, like we can be practical about bucking the
yeah,
status quo, where we can like sit there and, you know, very pragmatically look at the way things have happened before and go, doesn't work anymore.
right. I agree with that.
I don't need to freak out about it. I don't need to get hysterical. I just need to do something different.
Or if it's saying like these were lies the whole time. Oh, okay. Well, then we're not going to do that again.
Right. And
Um,
I think again, that's the beauty of like Saturn and Pisces is it's allowing us to expand our mind on our boundaries. Where it's like we might, you know, change our boundaries, but because we understand things differently now.
yeah, I think that's a great way to say it, honestly. You know,
And
um,
I think it's really important to just, you know, mention for this full moon in general that this is our opportunity to really tap into that collective consciousness and find that sense of like togetherness that I think, you know, our modern society has kind of wanted to strip us of. I
yeah,
definitely feel like, you know, we see that a lot of that coming back with this full moon is like, you know, feeling that sense of camaraderie maybe that we've kind of lost with modern society.
I think that's really beautiful. I really do. Um, and there was something I was going to say too about Libra. You have in here that the moon in Aquarius will be trining Sirius in Libra.
Yeah.
Oh, but you know what I wanted to say? I'll wait. It's not going to go with I'll wait. I'll wait for my video on the full moon. Um, because I do want to touch on what you're saying with like this idea that we all like really we do all want the same things. We all do want security. We do want people to be happy. We want people to be healthy. You know, we do want um a way to help with homelessness and mental illness and like things that we, you know, talked
Right.
about before we go on. And we have to remember like we can do that. Like the one thing I always say that pisses me off is that I believe as humans that we are smarter than all these problems that we have. Like I think we're smarter than mental illness. I think we're smarter than homelessness. I think we're smarter than world hunger, you know?
Right.
We really are. And so like I think like with this full moon, like you were saying, we can start focusing on that. Like
Yeah.
we don't have an answer yet. And I think we do. I just,
Right.
yeah, I do think we have the answers.
I think it's about tapping into that higher octave that like recognizes those things that
Yeah.
again we've kind of been like has been kind of squashed on us for a very
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah, I agree. So good supermoon on,
Yeah,
and
I
I
think
think it's, yeah, and I think it's going to be an exhale from all the quote unquote extremes that we're feeling.
because
Um,
I'm seeing like an intensity of energy building already. And I
mhm.
think actually the full moon is going to be where it breaks. I don't
Jupiter
think,
goes,
yeah, it's going to be like, all right, you've had
uh-huh.
enough, you know, here's some revelations, go deal with them, but chill out.
Right, and chill out because again, like a lot of times, like when the clown comes up or the fool, it is this idea of like, why are you taking your guys' goddamn self so seriously?
Oh my God. Yeah. I think that's actually going to be one of the revelations is we're going to realize we don't have to take this all so seriously.
No, like we're all human.
Right.
We all have to go poop and pee.
It's true. Everybody poops. They wrote a book about it.
Maybe sometimes we need to remember that.
Yeah.
Okay, Wednesday, the moon will still be in Aquarius.
Yes.
It's going to be opposite Lilith and Venus, who are in Leo.
Yes.
And I
Which
think
I think
that's
is almost just like amplifying this full moon, like adding more energy to it. Because we're going to still be in the full moon energy. And then
mhm,
we have Lilith who's liberating us,
mhm.
and Venus who's the divine feminine, just like two very powerful feminine energies coming in basically to be like, we're not going to take whatever shit, you know, was being handed at us before. You know, we're going to
Right.
stand for ourselves. We're going to
Yeah,
be authentic,
I see.
ferociously authentic.
Right. And I see Lilith, and I was been thinking about this a while ago, and I don't know if we talked about it or not, but I see Lilith as taking accountability, you know,
Yes.
because we always talk about Lilith as being the first wife of Adam, right? And then she took off because she didn't want to quote unquote submit. And the way that I see that though was because she didn't want to take accountability for Adam.
Right.
Adam needed to take accountability for himself.
Yep.
right? And then he brought in Eve, who was like, no, I'll do it. I'll do this and I'll
Yeah.
do that. Not to get into a big,
I'll be your surrogate mommy, basically,
right.
which we see where that's gone in history.
Exactly. Right. The rise of the
We
patriarchy.
need
And
some more
so,
Lilith energy in there
what did
yeah.
you say? What did you say?
We need some more Lilith energy in here.
Right. Right. And I think now when I see Lilith and she's coming in, it was like she took accountability for herself and all the shit that she did. And then she expected,
Mhm.
or I don't know if expect's the right word, but the same out of the masculine. And
Yeah.
so with the moon in Aquarius, and it's opposite Lilith and Venus, who are in Leo, who is the masculine. You
Mhm.
know, I do see this as taking accountability. Like, no, this is on you, man. You got this.
Yeah. And same day, we've got another T square because we've got square Uranus. So the
Mm-hmm.
day before we had square with Jupiter and Taurus. Now we've got the square with Uranus and Taurus. And it's like, to me, that's like, again, getting up to that higher octave of the mind, thinking of things differently, doing things differently, letting shifts happen.
And when
And again,
Uranus comes, yeah, when Uranus comes in, it happens fast, you guys. It
right.
happens fast. And you can think it's probably, no, it's not going to be that, but it's going to be something else. And you're going to be like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's just an energy of like just not doing things the way we've been doing it before because it doesn't work anymore.
Right.
And just thinking of a different way, moving a different way.
Yeah. Because the moon Aquarius will sextile Chiron, Eris in the North Node, who are all in Aries.
Yep.
So maybe you'll be a little emotional that day, maybe not, but you know you're moving forward. Okay.
Oh yeah. Cleaning out all the old shit, basically.
Yeah.
But it needs to go. Like, and it's gonna feel like stuff that needs to go.
Right. And it might be like a relief. Like, thank God.
Mm-hmm.
And then the moon will move into Pisces.
Yes.
And
Where
so,
we
yeah, go ahead.
will
So
still
Thursday,
have
the
on
moon will be in Pisces.
Thursday.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Sorry. What did you say?
So Thursday we've got that, yeah, moon in Pisces. And we've got the conjunction with Saturn, which I really like that for like right after the full moon because I think there's going to be a lot of things that come through for us. But I think that connection with, Saturn and Pisces and the moon is going to allow us to like find a little structure in all of these things that are kind of streaming down from up above. All the stuff coming from the higher self, it may be a lot during that super moon, but I think once we have like, the Saturn conjunction with the moon in Pisces, we're going to be able to like maybe sort through some of that and like come up with like something that we can actually do with it where it's not just like messages all swirling around.
Yeah, it's like we'll be able to get some structure.
Yes. And in opposition to Mercury, Mars, and Pallas Athena, I
Mhm.
mean, I think that again, like reiterates, we're going to be able to see where we need to be more pragmatic, where we need to, structure the things that have been coming through for us.
And just see how we can get them done.
Yes.
It's not going to be the end of the world,
No.
or it's take 72 years.
Right. Yeah, I definitely think Thursday's a day to like kind of take a deep breath.
Right. And kind of like take stock, see where things are and see where like where the new chips have fallen. Because also on Thursday, the moon in Pisces will be sextiling Jupiter and Taurus, which is a good energy.
Oh,
Saying
really
you can
good.
get it done, you can be practical. Um, you're gonna see that light at the end of the tunnel and like, oh, actually I just have to take one more step and then I'm out of the tunnel. So
Yeah.
okay, Friday, the moon will be in Pisces for
Yes.
most of the day.
Yes. And then making interactions with the three outermost planets. So like a sextile with Uranus and Pluto, and a conjunction with Neptune.
Okay.
And to me, we see that just playing that much with like the outermost planets in those higher octaves of our mind at that point. Like we're not doing like the mundane, day-to-day stuff. We're like tapping into the higher self. We're like thinking of things from a higher level, digging deep into the emotions, all that kind of stuff.
Check your audio. It's going out a little bit.
Oh, can you hear me okay now?
Say it again.
You can hear me?
It sounds like you're in a tin can. It sounds like you're in outer space and you are transmitting from Uranus or Taurus or Pluto. You're way out there. This way.
Uh-oh.
Okay, now that's good. Okay.
It sounds better now?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. I don't know what happened there. Weird.
I don't know. So, but what you're saying, the moon in Pisces is sextiling with those outermost planets.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that to me is like, again, I guess I went to those outermost planets, but it's like almost like we're dealing with higher level things. You know,
Yeah.
we're dealing with the higher octaves of our mind. We're tapping into our unconscious. You know, we're dealing with our shadow maybe a little bit, but like we're doing the things that aren't necessarily like the mundane day-to-day things.
Mhm.
We are doing some kind of higher level things that day, which I think is okay because, you know, again, we're going to have a lot stream in
Yeah.
energetically during that full moon. Um, so I think we do need to kind of get up to that higher octave.
Right. I feel like this is more of a balancing
Yes.
this stuff because the moon in Pisces is mutable.
Mm-hmm.
It is conjunct Neptune, right? And it's still trining Juno in Cancer, which again is relationships. Cancer's the home. And so
Well,
that trine is still going to bring in making us feel safe, even with
mhm.
these changes.
Yeah. Well, I think a really interesting thing that's happening on that day is Venus is forming a trine with Eris,
Hmm.
which I think in a way, like, so Venus is our self-worth and
Hmm.
Eris is all the things that must be disrupted. And a
Hmm.
trine is harmonious. So I almost see it as like something coming through where it's like we're going to realize our self-worth by letting certain things go, by
Right.
letting certain things, you know, get disrupted that need to be, because we're like, it just doesn't matter anymore. We don't need this anymore.
It's a real self-empowerment day.
Yeah, I think it is a very empowering day. And like, again, it's like, I think as long as we don't, you know, get crazy with trying to resist all these things, Eris will just remove the things that need to be removed.
I think that's a good reminder. We can't keep white knuckling shit. With that full moon in Aquarius, you guys, like this is bringing in new solutions to these old problems.
Yes.
So it's just time to see things differently and to get a new perspective on things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
I
Saturday,
think
we kind of
this
have a,
whole week is. Oh, I was just gonna say, I feel like this whole week is all about new perspectives.
I like that. I agree with that. Maybe that's what I'll name the video.
New
New
perspectives. Yay.
perspectives. Okay, Saturday, the moon will be in Aries. It'll be trining the
Mhm.
sun in Leo and then opposite Sirius and Libra.
I think that's a really beautiful energy because, you know, we've got the moon in Aries. So it's like we're all about taking charge, all about considering, you know, making sure we're taken care of for ourselves.
Hmm.
And then the sun comes in like with this very harmonious energy, like shining in with Leo sun, like just giving us like a boost of like confidence and like
Yes.
sense of like authenticity.
Mhm.
And then the opposition with Ceres, I think is really good too, because again, seeing across at her, we can see the areas where, you know, we maybe haven't been showing up for ourselves, need to be nurturing ourselves better. And we can go, okay, well, this is just what I need to do.
And this I'm going to kind of touch on the thing that I passed over, but like Libra, right? That is where the South Node is.
Yes.
Okay, so when we mention Libra, it's important to remember that South Node is in Libra, and what that South Node is teaching us in Libra is how to put ourselves first,
Yeah.
how to not worry about everyone else and then us. So, like you said, like that confidence, I feel like, oh, okay, it's starting to make sense.
Yeah. I think that's definitely a day where like all of these things that again, we've had to, you know, we've had a lot of revelations come in with the full moon. We've got a lot of, you know, opportunities where we're going to go up to that higher octave of our mind. But then like Saturday kind of almost like brings us back down to just like ourselves.
Hmm.
And, you know, lets us go, all right, now just make sure your rudimentary needs are met, you know, make sure you're good, make sure you're feeling, you know, authentic and you're good.
You got this. Okay, then the last day of the week, Moon in Aries. It'll be in is it in Aries all day on Sunday?
Yes.
Okay. So the
And
moon will
then
be in Aries. It'll be conjunct Chiron, Eris, and the North Node.
yes. And so that's definitely a energy of like moving forward with something, like moving forward past hurt and pain, you know, that we've experienced and just
Right.
going, all right, I've dealt with that. I'm
Yeah,
going to
I
move
got it.
forward.
Yeah.
You know, the path is cleared and, you know, there's more I need to be doing. So I can
Right.
go away, move away from this.
Which is good because it's trining Lilith and Venus, who are in Leo, right? So
Yes.
that's bringing in that accountability. It's bringing in our self-worth. It's bringing
Hmm.
in our self-esteem.
Yes.
And then it's squaring Pluto, who's still in Capricorn, and it's squaring Juno, who's in Cancer.
Yes, so that's another T square that we've got going on,
Mhm.
which to me, that one is challenging us to release any commitments that are no longer true to us
Mhm.
and actually just kind of like commit to our true self.
Mhm. Pretty
That
simple.
there's the challenge with that. And
Yeah.
again, because Moon is in Aries and like that is the self, like always
Yeah.
going like, all right, you got to put yourself first.
Right. All right. And then it's also going to be sextiling Vesta and Gemini, which I feel like supports what you just said. The
Mm-hmm.
sextile is a good energy. Vesta is our flame, our self flame. Um, and the twins are ruled by Mercury and they want to
Yeah.
communicate, right? And it is this idea of um Gemini to me is like that end of duality, but that Gemini wants also to work together. So
Yeah.
so if you are sitting there thinking, like you just said, okay, these are the people or the ideas or things that I need to get out of my life in order to make myself feel more stable. Okay, well, Vesta and Gemini is like, okay, well, how can we do this? Let's have this conversation, right? It's not maybe as hard as we once thought, might be a little challenging because that square it can be challenging, but there are answers to this challenge.
Yes, exactly.
Mhm.
And actually, I think the sun squaring Jupiter definitely supports that.
Mhm.
Um, because again, a square is a challenge, but Jupiter's coming in, with enthusiasm and, luck on our side. And
Mhm.
like basically saying, like, is challenging us to be like true to ourselves.
Right.
Like, as long as we're true to ourselves, we're going to be fine.
Yeah, it's like a reality check, what do you
Yeah.
want out of life? Or how are you going to get there? You can do it.
Yeah.
That is Taurus fixed, Aquarius fixed, Leo fixed. You do have to make some sort of commitment, which is
Yeah.
funny because Aquarians want to be free, but I guess we have to commit to that as well. So how do we get there? I'm an
Yeah.
Aquarian. I get it. I'm like a bird.
Yeah.
Yeah, not really, but
I mean, kind of.
I'm in outer space right now, flying in outer space. Yeah, there you go. So you guys work with that energy. There has to be some sort of commitment, and the commitment does need to be to oneself. So whatever this full moon brings up, the rest of the week really works with you being able to find new solutions, to see new perspectives, to move life into where you want it to go, instead of being reactionary and just being like, well, I guess this is it. No,
Yeah.
those days are gone. This is it. Days are gone. We're ready. This is the
Mhm.
revolution. Aquarius is the revolution.
No, I think so. And it's like every time we have these like, Aquarian moments, whether it be like an Aquarius full moon or something like that, like big Aquarius energy, it's like we keep being reminded that we are moving forward, that we are, moving into this new time period that we've kind of all felt coming in.
Right. And we do need this. Like we need this boost that things are shifting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, friends, we're going to leave it there. If you need to reach out to me or Helen, you can via our Instagrams or the YouTube channels. And with me, I do have some websites. I am still doing the Zoom. If you book 3 sessions through Zoom, you get half price off. And of course, if you want to book sessions with Helen, you can reach out to her and she can give you all that info as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you, Helen. I always
Yes.
appreciate your insights and talking with you is always very cathartic, seeing, we're doing this and we're doing it together. You're like my community, if you will. We're doing this
Well,
together.
happy to be part of the community.
Thank you. Okay, guys, we'll see you next time.
All right. Bye bye.